For over a decade, I've watched my friend Ryan knock off a long list of achievements. An honors degree in economics, graduating law school with distinction, and 3 beautiful children. I watched as Ryan went straight to Bay Street in Toronto, to a prestigious law firm in Calgary, and finally built a law practice of his own. I wasn't surprised. If anyone could achieve the conventional definition of success, it was Ryan. He's smart, talented, and hardworking. So a few months ago, when I heard Ryan was leaving law altogether to create his own path as an entrepreneur, I was intrigued. I wanted to know how and why he'd decided to make such a massive life change. It turns out Ryan had been chasing an idea of what he thought success was, but that very idea of success was ultimately making him miserable.
One of the biggest things for me in getting the courage to make shifts is that at a certain point I had to confront and change a self-identity. And I've realized a couple things. I've realized that our self-identities, that everything is kind of made up in life. And I realized that I had this image of myself, okay? And that image was created by both my own internal insecurities plus external pressures and all these other things. And I'll just tell you what my image was. I had this image of this guy, this suited guy, who was on the track to success. I had this image of, I grew up on a farm and going from the farm to the Bay Street and, taking on this corporate world, and this image of this achiever, this suited achiever. And I realized that suited achiever was making me crazy and making me really, really sad. And I also, more empowering, is realized that suited achiever, it was made up. It didn't exist. It only existed in my mind. It wasn't real. And because it wasn't real, I also realized that I could change that. And I didn't have to accept the suited achiever as my identity, because that guy was bringing me a ton of pain. I created a new one, and I created a new one actually by getting references, and both getting references of things that are bringing me happiness, but also things that are bringing me pain. The suited achiever was very conservative. He was very kind of risk intolerant. He was very calculated. He was very Machiavellian. And the real me was quite carefree, and he was quite easygoing. He was pretty laid back, and he was also quite adventurous. And I only realized that by doing adventurous things. And I started over with once I got to the point where the pain threshold was so high that I just said, I don't want to be the suited achiever. Well, then I almost had a blank slate, where I said, well, then if I'm not him, because I've held on to that for 32 years, well, then who am I? And so then I had to kind of start experimenting with different things. So I went and did a fire walk and bungee jumping and all these other things, and I realized, hey, I actually really like adventure. This new identity started to form. And as I started to see this new identity form, I started to layer onto that what I really wanted to be, and like I'm a teacher. I love to teach, so I want to layer that in. I'm an uplifter. I like to find people who are feeling down and lift them up, so I'm going to layer that one in there too. I could care less about what people think of me. So the suited achiever, he really cared about what people thought about him. So I got rid of that one, and so over time he started this new picture to form. And that is a new and fun and inspiring thing. And every day I think about that, and I don't ever want to go back to the suited achiever. Even if something as simple as wearing a tie, I never wear a tie anymore. Never.